Hey, what is going on, my fellow godlies and Dragonball Xenoverse enthusiasts around the world? This is Vance from the Obvious 4-Frame God Builds. Now, I have uploaded content for Dragonball Xenoverse in the past, but I never really talked about it. And I do intend to upload content for Xenoverse 2. So before I get into that, I needed to totally rant about Xenoverse 2 because Dimps they've just been so goddamn lazy, and it's such a shame because Xenoverse 2 has all the potential in the world. So the first thing that really strikes me as laziness from Dimps is the fact that there's so much content that's ported over from Xenoverse 1 to Xenoverse 2. Now, they advertise that as a feature. That's one of the reasons why we bought the game, is we can transfer our Xenoverse 1 character with all the moves, all the appearances, yada yada yada. But what I'm talking about here is how the single players are basically the same damn thing. Everything that you did in Xenoverse 1, you're going to be repeating in Xenoverse 2. It's ultimately the same game with minor little subtle changes, like the inclusion of Lord Slug, Turles, Masked Bardock, Cooler, yada yada yada. There's just minor changes. You still fight through the same battles, and they virtually end the same way with the shitty ass single player that it is. On top of this, your single player campaign character from the first one does not have any time to shine whatsoever in this one. I mean, sure, he blocks a few key blasts, he chases down some people, he looks badass, he or she, I'm sorry. But there's really nothing major going on here. You get to fight your character once, and they don't even use the moveset that you ported over. Instead, it's just some generic, bland-ass villain character setup, and it's tragic because it's a totally missed opportunity. I would have liked to have seen a game where we could play through something that's totally different from the Xenoverse 1 campaign. And there's just no excuse because the Dragon Ball Z franchise has so much to cover. You have the original Dragon Ball content, you have Dragon Ball GT, you have all the movies, even some of the super episodes. It wouldn't be hard for them to make a totally different campaign that was completely separate from Xenoverse 1 and include your character from the previous game a little bit more, making them have to fight you, making them be your trainer, including them more. I was utterly disgusted at the end of the game having Goku help me for a second time in a single player. It was understandable in Xenoverse 1 because who were they going to include? Who were they going to throw into the final battle to make it be more epic? It made sense that Goku helped out. But here in Xenoverse 2, it doesn't, because we had a Xenoverse 1 character who could have helped us, and it would have been much more shocking for me to have my Xenoverse 1 character arrive right beside me and help me in the final battle. No, instead I get Goku. You know what, and some people might be happy with that ending. Some people might. But I'm a fan of options. If you know me from the Warframe series where I rant about that stuff, you'll know that I like to have options. I don't like to just be forced to choose one thing. And no matter how you look at it, they did not justify porting over your character. Because after you beat the game and you go into the multi-lobby, you're either going to see the hologram of the number 1 patroller, or the most helpful patroller, or your current hero. What if I don't want to ever see any of that shit? What if I want to see my previous hero from Xenoverse 1? What if I want to see the Toki Toki City hero? And that's all I ever want to see. There are literally no options to change that. I don't give a fuck about anybody else's character. And I don't even want to see my own character in Xenoverse 2. I want to see only my Xenoverse 1 character, yet there are no options to change that. Never mind all the numerous bugs found in the raid missions. I can't tell you how many times I have found the Great Ape out of the map, and we were unable to block that key blast, the giant key blast that he shoots. We just had to wait until the time wore out. And what's up with that as well? You can't even press pause and leave the game. You can't leave the lobby. There is just so much laziness going on here. All the parallel quests have been ported over with a little bit more changes. They throw in more enemies to make it more challenging. But the problems are still woven deeply into this system. If you're doing like a 2v1, a 3v1, you'll get caught in a situation where everybody is nailing you with key blasts, and the key blasts stun you. They never used to do that in Xenoverse 1. You could charge an ultimate or whatever, and your ultimate would block the key blast. It's not doing that here. You can totally be interrupted by key blasts from any one direction, and it's just not fair. If they were to consider a 1v3 situation, you would try to balance things in the one's favor, right? You would try to make it so key blasts wouldn't interrupt them so much. Well, that's not present in this game. Anything that hits you basically is going to stun lock you unless you snap vanish out of it. Which I can congratulate them for that feature, because snap vanishing is great. I like the mechanics of Xenoverse. Xenoverse 2, by all means, is very addicting and a very rewarding game to play. All of the laziness that is included in this game isn't enough to avoid buying the game completely. However, I will say that it's deeply disappointing for fans who were expecting just a little bit more. And it's not like we were expecting unrealistic things, but can you really condone the Majins transforming into Kid Buu? I mean, what if you're a female Majin? You just essentially became Bruce Jenner because you transformed into Kid Buu. That, to me, is completely fucking unacceptable. And while the whole Nimbus Cloud and Power Pole combination is pretty powerful mechanically, it makes no sense being an exclusive to humans in the game, considering the fact that Goku was a Saiyan in the Dragon Ball franchise, and he was on Nimbus with the Power Pole. That's something to think about. Another thing to consider here is how I was under the assumption there was only one Power Pole, and it was special because there was only one of it. You could openly assume the same thing about Nimbus, but apparently all the Time Patrollers in Canton City have it, which is another thing that's unacceptable because they're completely forgetting about a transformation we've seen in Dragon Ball Z history, and that's Master Roshi's Get Buff transformation. Seriously, why is that not a human exclusive? If they were to make that transformation exclusive, then they could make the Nimbus Cloud and Power Pole combination be something that everyone can use. There's just so many missed opportunities, especially when you're talking about transformations, because Saiyans have all the different transformations, and I think that they should make different tiers of customization with your created character. If you're playing a Frieza race, you should be able to customize a second appearance to make, us believe that we're going through a metamorphosis similar to the first form Frieza, second, third, fourth, final, golden. You know what I'm saying? They should make it so we can customize 2 different appearances. And that should be something that every race has, because even the Saiyans, even the Super Saiyans, we should be able to customize a second appearance. That way we can change the hairstyle, so when we go Super Saiyan we can make our hair spiky, and that would solve the outcries that the community has for female Saiyans not having their hair spiked up. Humans, I can't really see a difference there other than making them buff, adding the option to make them super bulky. And then the Namekians, the amount of stamina drain. I get that in the beta the giant mode was just so powerful, and they nerfed it to where it would gradually drain stamina, which is commendable. However, what I will say is there's a huge flaw with the system. Stamina breaking is cancer. It is pure cancer. When you get your stamina broken, there is literally nothing you can do. You can try to snap vanish, but the minute you get hit, the second you get hit, you are just useless. You're just floating there taking the damage. You can't defend, you can't fly away. There's nothing that you can do, and I don't think that is right. I don't accept that. I believe that there's a variety of different things that you can do to get around that. Maybe make it so you can't use your supers or your ultimates, but you always need to block, you always need to be able to fly away, you need to be able to prevent yourself from taking damage. Otherwise, it's just a break stamina simulator, and that's the ultimate cheese. That's all I see players doing online, is trying to break your stamina. That's the only thing anybody is ever doing. Now, I agree that once you get your stamina broken, in that moment you should be totally useless. When you get your stamina broken, you shouldn't be able to do anything, because that's the nature of the combo system. However, if you get hit out of that combo, if they're done and you have a moment to get up, you should not be useless. That's just my opinion. And I think that will be the popular opinion when I release this video. I think that when I put this out and I hear people in the comments section, I think that they're going to agree that stamina breaking is an issue. It's just not fair. It's really just not fair. And the thing is I don't want to break the stamina of my foes. It seems like such a cheap, undermined thing to do. I don't feel like I'm getting the victory. I don't feel accomplished. So I don't want my stamina broken, and I don't want my foe's stamina broken. I just don't want it to be the thing that it is. I think that it's incredibly cheesy and too much. Aside from, the recommendation of the obvious multiple different customizations for your character, I also think that the appearances are lame. It's just so lazy for Dimps to throw in all these different costumes. You can wear Goku's outfit, Vegeta's, you can wear Gohan's, you can wear so many outfits. But why is it that we can only customize the colors of a handful of them? Why can't we customize the colors of all of them? Why is that such a huge issue for Dimps to do? Again, I understand it in Xenoverse 1. Xenoverse 1 was an experimental game. They were just trying to create something that worked, and it worked. So now they have no excuse in Xenoverse 2. They know that people like Xenoverse 1. They should have known that all of their outfits should have been able to be customized. And that's the thing moving forward, is they need to do this. They need to listen to us. They need to stop being lazy and actually develop a game. There's so many bugs and glitches that are left within the game. There's so many problems concerning the single player, connectivity, latency. They've stomped out a lot of these issues, but they've been incredibly lazy because they haven't been able to do it. Like, they have had 2 betas time to stomp out all the bugs that were present with the raids. Yet, I would say 8 out of the 10 games that I play with the Grade 8 raids, I'm still encountering at least one bug somewhere. And to me, it's just pure laziness. 2 betas, a year and a half's time to make pretty much the same game that you had to begin with, and we should just be getting more. There's no excuses that you can make for these guys. Maybe you're a fan of Xenoverse 2 and you want to try to defend Dimps, but you can't. You know at the core of this game they were super lazy, and we shouldn't have to deal with this. We really shouldn't. I feel as though the entire fucking team of Dimps should be fired and thrown out, and have somebody else come in that's willing to work, because Dimps obviously isn't willing to work, and that to me is just unacceptable. I don't think that should be allowed to be carried on. I think that we should get new developers who are willing to work, willing to give us what we want. We're not asking for much. That's the big thing to note here, is that we like Xenoverse the way that it is. We love the fighting mechanics. We just want more to do. We want more customization, more of what we got in Xenoverse 1, and less of the bullshit, less of the laziness, less stuff that's just completely recycled and generic. So if you agreed with this video, it always helps if you give me that thumbs up. The details for our fan page on Facebook and the merchandise that we sell is also in the description. So until the next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace.